We chose a career that's all about giving and serving our communities and our students and their families. And giving is fine. Absolutely. Giving fills your cup, right? But not at the sacrifice of your own sanity and your own mental and physical health. You are listening to the Beyond the Classroom podcast, a podcast for burnt out teachers who know something's gotta give. After teaching for 14 years and feeling completely burned out for way too long, in May of 2022, I made a big decision and left the classroom. I now help burnt out teachers like you take back balance and joy so you can wake up every day loving your life. In this podcast, we'll explore who you are beyond the classroom, whether you're considering leaving or wanting to make changes so you can fall in love with teaching again. Either way, I understand what it's like to be living a life that looks fun and cute on the outside. You know, summer's off, playing all day, off at 2 o'clock every day, but actually feels miserable and draining. I'm your host and coach, Sandy Patterson, and I'm so excited to help you step into your fullest potential and believe in that potential to make an impact on the world, not just survive each day. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hello, and welcome back to the Beyond the Classroom podcast. I am so happy that you are here today. So happy, so thrilled and honored that you've chosen to spend a couple minutes with me. We're going to talk all things boundaries today. Now, I had such a big response to last week's episode, and people resonated with a lot of things from that episode. So if you haven't listened, make sure you go back and listen to episode 6. This isn't what I signed up for. And a quick recap of that episode, we chatted about how teaching has changed and how these changes have impacted teachers. And in that episode, I gave 3 actionable things that you can do to deal with these changes as you navigate teaching. So you can go listen to that episode to hear more, and I'll link it in the show notes too so you can find it easily. But what people had the most questions and concerns and comments about were the part about boundaries. And I get this. I feel it. I understand on a very deep level because I am 100% type A perfectionist, people pleaser, above and beyond overachiever. And a lot of people reached out to say that they love to have more solid boundaries, but things just keep getting piled on. And especially in teaching, it's not like anyone is saying, here, do this, and I'll take this off your plate. It just seems to be more and more and more and more. So today we're going to chat just about boundaries and what you can do today to start feeling better and to start enforcing those boundaries. So here we go. Committing or being told to do something you don't have space for turns into bitterness and resentment and exhaustion. And these are all things that teachers have shared their feeling with me, and things that I also felt on an ongoing basis, especially towards the end of my time in the classroom. And some other words that teachers have used to describe how they're feeling when boundaries aren't being held here basically are unsettled, uneasy, discouraged, angry, frustrated, overdrawn. And this is why boundaries are so important in teaching and in every aspect of our lives, right? We don't want these feelings to be showing up like all the time on the regular. I know every once in a while, that's fine, but not every single day. And you don't want to be living in these feelings all day, every day. So first, let's define boundaries. Boundaries basically help keep you okay. They keep you sane. They keep you not overwhelmed. They help you steer clear of anxiety and worry. And boundaries are defined expectations that you have in place. And so they can include routines, habits, and limits. And almost like a fence you have around your sanity and your mental health, right? When you cross that fence or that line, you go into overwhelm land, and that's not a great place to be. So what I would love to say is start taking things off your plate. Right? Just say no, because that sounds so easy, right? Just say no. It sounds so incredibly simple to just say no to more things. What's the big deal, right? But let's be real. Even the thought of telling someone no can make us super uncomfortable. And why is that? take a second to really think about it. Why is it that we're so uncomfortable saying no? And for me, I've recognized that it's because as teachers, as women, as caretakers, as moms, basically as human beings, it's become deeply ingrained in us to just give, and to constantly be of service and be available to other people all the time. We chose a career that's all about giving and serving our communities and our students and their families. And giving is fine. Absolutely. Giving fills your cup, right? But not at the sacrifice of your own sanity and your own mental and physical health. Regardless of this, we put the needs of other people ahead of ourselves often, and we prioritize other people's feelings and comfort levels over our own. We will literally do anything to avoid being the cause of inconvenience for someone else. We avoid making people upset or mad or uncomfortable. So we say yes, we do the thing, we help on the committee, we show up at the party, we go the extra mile, we spend the extra time and the extra money. And we do that to avoid making people upset and uncomfortable and irritated, all at the expense of our own mental, emotional health. And our time and energy is our most precious resource, and it needs to be fiercely guarded. So the big question is, what can you do when you feel like you're drowning and you're overwhelmed and you know you've reached that limit? So let's talk actionable steps here. Number one is to begin to define your limits and your boundaries. Now, this might seem like common sense, but I think if someone were to ask you, what are your boundaries regarding teaching, or what are your boundaries regarding motherhood, it's not easy to define them. So taking the time to set those limits and to define them, maybe even write them out, is super important. And you don't have to figure them all out at once, but now that this is on your radar, when you start to notice yourself feeling at your edge or where you're about to head into that overwhelm land, it's most likely because a boundary is starting to be pushed. And in regards to teaching, some examples of boundaries might be, I stay no more than 30 minutes past my contracted hours, or even I leave at contracted hours. I only check emails and respond during this specific time frame that you set. And this is kind of a side note here. You don't need to be available to everyone all the time. Let that sink in for just a second. You do not have to be available all the time. Do you expect people to be available to you at every moment of every day? No, and no one expects you to be available all the time. So take your work email or even your personal email off your phone. Just a side note there. So another boundary in regards to teaching might be, I prioritize the things that are essential in teaching, and I'm okay cutting the rest out. Now, with COVID, if you taught through COVID, you know that COVID taught us that you really don't need a lot to be a good, effective teacher. You don't need cute things or decorated walls or perfectly laminated, color-coded centers. And don't get me wrong, I love cute stuff. I love me a good color-coded center that's laminated. I love that. I loved my classroom being a welcoming space for me and my students. But technically, you really don't need those things to be an effective teacher. What you do need are just the basics and solid instructional practices and relationships with students. That's all you really need. Again, let that sink in for a second. And I'm going off on these little tangents, but coming back here to boundaries. So here's where it gets tricky, because you literally can't get everything done in the time frame that you're given in your contracted hours as far as teaching goes, right? I get that. And if you're a people-pleasing overachiever like me, you can't just half-ass things, right? Who resonates with me there? I didn't want to be a half-ass teacher. I went above and beyond more often than not to make sure that I was amazing and to make sure that my students had an amazing experience. I didn't just want to be okay. But again, being amazing and perfect all of the time is coming at the expense of other things. So what are the other things that you're missing out on because you're expending so much emotional and mental energy on? What are you missing out on? That's definitely something to think about. So what I suggest here is starting with one boundary at a time, just enforcing one thing and sticking to it and proving to yourself that you can do it. And if you fail, trying again tomorrow. And if you fail again, try again the next day. And if you fail again, try again. Just keep trying until it becomes a habit and you prove to yourself that you can do it. And is this easy? No. Does it happen overnight? Absolutely not. But something has to give. And it's either your boundaries and your sanity, or it's sustaining and getting comfortable with not being teacher of the year, right? Okay. Number 2, say no to things when you can. So when someone asks you to do something or asks something of you, first of all, you don't need to answer right away. I forget this often too. You can try, can I get back to you on that? Just say, can I get back to you on that? This gives you time to think about it. And it gives you time to think about, number 1, is this actually something you want to do? Is it a hell yes type situation? Or not really? And number 2, do you have space for it? Now, space includes like the actual space on your calendar, like an open time slot, but it also includes mental space, emotional space, energetic space. Just because there's room on the calendar doesn't mean you have to say yes. And just because your calendar is open doesn't mean you have the emotional or mental capacity to take it on. And if it is possible in a situation to say no, just politely decline. You don't need to give an over explanation or give an excuse. I know this is usually the default, is to blame it on something else or blame the no on something else. Or, if things were different, I would accept it. But really, we have to get comfortable sitting in just the no thank you. And again, I know that's hard. I know it. I know that. But some other responses could be, thank you so much for the opportunity, but I just can't take this on right now. Unfortunately, I can't make it. And these things can go for anything. There are so many opportunities that arise every day in decisions we have to make, from birthday parties to meetings to covering for friends to school events, sports events, joining a new committee, doing an extra thing. You don't have to say yes to all of them. When someone asks, be picky with your time and energy and how you spend it and who you're spending it with. Life is just too short to be spending time doing things to keep other people happy. And let's focus on what truly makes us happy so we can show up as our best selves. And this is funny. I picture my 6-year-old. He's like the pickiest eater ever. And he says no to basically everything unless it's some version of chicken tenders. And when he says no to me, he does not feel bad at all. And he doesn't give me an explanation about how he'll try, no. He's not worried about hurting my feelings when I offer him something new to try. He's got a solid boundary around chicken tenders and what he eats. So I feel like I need to be more like him in my boundaries too, and just sticking to it and being like, no. And obviously the 6-year-old eating chicken tenders is not the same thing, but you get the idea. So number 3, ask for clarification. Now, I know you can't always say no to things. Sometimes we're told to do things, and this is infuriating when you're already doing so much. So when you can't say no to specific things, be very clear and ask for clarification on when you'll be given time to accomplish the task. And this is really all about how you say this and how you ask it and where the question is coming from. If it's really coming from a place of curiosity, there's no reason why you should be scared or afraid to ask for clarification about when this task can be completed. And I'm mostly talking about teaching things here. Because really, when we say yes or we're told to do things, it means no to something else because we only have so much time in our day. And that something else needs to be aligned with teaching or your job, not with your mental health or your core values. So let's say you're in a staff meeting and you're told you need to learn yet another new complicated system to input data or do some sort of another thing on your plate, right? Take a deep breath and first think about how much time that task is going to take you, or get really clear about the time frame, whether it's once a week, whether it's a 3-hour block, whether it's, a one-time thing. So let's say it'll take you 3 hours of time total. So get curious and ask when that 3 hours of time will be provided to you inside your contracted hours. And again, it all goes back to how you ask. If you're coming from a place of curiosity, it should be received well. If you're coming from a place of frustration and anger, it probably, maybe take a breath and then come back to it, revisit, right? If that time is not going to be provided to you, you can ask what can be taken off your plate in order to make room for this new task. And again, it's all about how you come at it. So maybe asking, okay, no problem. Let's work together to brainstorm ways that we can make this happen if this is a priority for you. And when I say you, I mean admin or your principal or whoever it is that's telling you to do something. If that's really a priority for them, then since it's your job, you're going to figure out a way to make it happen. But something else needs to come off of your plate. So ask if you can brainstorm what can come off of your plate to include this new thing on your plate, because you're only one person. You can only do so much, and you only have the capacity to do so much in a day. And again, this includes physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically. Like, you can only do so much. Okay, number 4, this is the hardest one of all. Recognize and be okay with pissing people off. This is coming from me, I'm known to be pretty outspoken and speak my mind when something's not right or when people are not being treated fairly. And I know that the people pleasers out there are absolutely cringing at this one, I know, but it's other people's feelings and comfort or your mental health and boundaries moving forward. You have to be okay with upsetting people. And oftentimes, if people are upset about you enforcing a boundary you've set, it's because they don't have their own boundaries in place. There is guilt that comes from enforcing boundaries, especially if this is something new you're trying on, right? If you're used to saying yes to everything and the people around you that are asking of you are used to you saying yes, this is going to be tricky at first. The important piece here is to notice the feelings that come up and the guilt and figure out where it's coming from. So is it because you don't want to make someone else uncomfortable? Why? Is it because you don't want to disappoint someone else? Why not? It'll be extra work for someone else. So what? Right? These are all valid and legit feelings, but they're also things that need to be worked through and addressed in order to come to peace with enforcing your boundaries, which will in turn improve your quality of life, right? I mean, that's huge. And the hard work is worth it. It's 100% worth it. But again, it's not easy, and it comes with time and practice and intentionality. Okay, to recap, the 4 things you can do to start enforcing boundaries in your life are: number 1, define your limits and boundaries. Write them out. Notice where you're feeling overwhelm in your day and set a boundary to protect your time and energy. Number 2 is say no when you can. Number 3 is ask for clarification when you can't say no or you're being told to do something, and come at this from a place of curiosity and a way to brainstorm how to make this work in the time that you have available. And number 4 is be okay with making other people uncomfortable. It's okay to piss people off. Recognize where and why that guilt pops up when you enforce a boundary, and then work through it. So hopefully you have a few ideas, a few things to think about in regards to boundaries. And as always, I would love to hear what is resonating with you. What are your thoughts? What are your biggest takeaways? What you're going to try? My favorite thing ever, seriously, is hearing from you and knowing that you're listening and taking something away from this. It makes it all worth it. Those connections are what fuels me. So all the links to connect are in the show notes. So until next time, protect your time and energy fiercely, enforce those boundaries, and piss people off for the sake of you and your sanity. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Beyond the Classroom. If you know something has to change and you're ready to take the next step to make it happen, whether it's in or out of the classroom, let's talk it through together. Schedule a no-obligation chat with me and we can talk through where you're stuck, how to get you unstuck, and how to keep you moving forward. Schedule your free call today by clicking the link in the show notes. I can't wait to connect with you.